pause there for just a second. Every need there is. What is the need in your life tonight? But let's pause there for just a second. I know this is going to get a little uncomfortable. That if I pause too long and you have to really think about that question too long, that's going to cause some uneasiness. Because so many times we go through life and we have so many needs that we live our life so quickly and so fast, and we ignore the real issues of our life because we don't want to deal with them. And He is stopping and He's saying, listen, you see, you have all these needs. What is the need that's in your life? Because He will meet that need. You see, if I was you right now, what I would do, I would write down that need on my piece of paper, even though there's not a place for it on your notes. I would write down that need and I'd say, okay, God, if you're real, I just wonder, would you meet this need? Because your word says you will. The word says you do. So I just want to wonder tonight that do you hear and do you know what I'm going through? Will you meet every need that I have? He said, from one man, He created all the nations throughout the whole earth. That would be Adam and Eve. He decided beforehand which one would rise and which one would fall, and then He determined their boundaries. Catch this. Don't miss this. Because this is the summary of what we're going to talk about tonight. Because His purpose in all of this was that nations would seek Him and seek after God. And perhaps they would wonder enough, perhaps they would feel their way towards Him, and they would find Him. Because He is not far from any of us. And so He's saying this, He said, you see, you have all these needs in your life, and that in your needs, those needs should cause you to seek Him. And that if you would take your needs and you would say, okay, God, I'm wondering about you, and I'm wondering if you have the ability to reach these needs, that you would feel your way towards Him. Because so many times, I don't know about for you, so many times I find that people don't go searching for God, they stumble across Him. What I mean by that is this, that people don't wake up and get out of bed and go, hey, I should probably discover God today. They wreck their car and have no insurance, and they stumble towards God. They have an accident in the family, and they stumble towards God. They find out that their girlfriend or boyfriend is in a situation, and they stumble towards God. And so today I want to give you permission to wonder. You see, here's what I believe that Paul recognized. I believe that Paul recognized that every human heart feels that something's missing. You see, it is a natural occurrence, and we don't talk about this much, but it is a natural occurrence to feel like something is missing in your life. If you feel that way, would you please raise your hand? Come on, please raise your hand. See, that is natural. Wait, one more time. Just go ahead, because I need you guys to look around. If you ever feel like something is missing in your life, just keep your hand up. Why? Almost everybody has their hands up, and if you don't, you're probably lying. Or you work the night shift. Because this is natural. You see, he walked through Athens, and as he was walking through Athens, he was looking at, and he's seeing these gods everywhere, or what they called gods. They were statues. And there'd be a statue to this and a statue to that. And he started wondering, why do people have so many statues in their life? Because there's something that's missing in your heart. And it's natural. It's absolutely natural. And you say then, well, why would God create me to have something missing inside me? Well, why would He do that? So that people would stumble and feel their way towards Him, and perhaps reach out and seek Him and find Him. Because He is what is missing. He is the key ingredient to life. That's the reason. You say, well, wait a second. That's really not fair. Why would a loving God not give me everything I need in this life? He did. But it's not found in physical things. It's not found in people. It's not found in places. It's not found in stuff. It's only found in Him. And see, here's what's interesting, is you think that at times you think you're the only one going through this. But from the beginning of days, everyone has always had something missing in their life. Adam he was missing that piece. Moses, he lived in the king's palace and still felt empty. The shepherds on the hill were looking for what? Jesus. Even though He had not come, that's who they were looking for. The wise men, they were waiting. They saw all the signs that this was the time that the Messiah would rise. And they began to look because there was something missing, and it was God. The disciples. Don't you remember the story about Nathan? And he goes, and he says, we have found the one that everybody has been looking for. Because God creates man with a missing piece in his heart so that people would seek Him and find Him. And so my question to you is this. Are you looking for the right thing? Is the thing that you're trying to put in your life God, or is it other stuff? Because if it's not God, you will be putting a round peg in a square hole. His purpose in all of this was that the nations would seek Him, seek after God, and perhaps feel their way towards Him, though He's not far from every one of us. You see, then the second thing that I want you to write down is this. I think that there's a second thing that happens in our lives. What happens first is we realize there's this missing piece in our heart. And then the second thing we do is that every person, you need something outside of yourself to confirm what's inside you. Have you ever noticed that? You need something outside of yourself to confirm what's inside of you. Okay, you say, Paul, I don't really need that. No, it's really not a need for me. Okay, I'm going to disagree with you if you believe that. If you believe that you're okay just the way you are and that you really don't need anything outside of yourself to confirm what's inside of you. You see, this is what Paul noticed when he was walking down and he sees the unknown God, the statue of the unknown God. He goes, these guys are looking for an external source to feed the internal source. How many of you guys have ever bought a brand new car? Or a new car to you? How many of you have ever bought a car you like? Raise your hand on that one. Some of you are like, nope, not that one. But you buy this new car and all of a sudden that you put the keys in and you have a smile on your face even though you paid way too much for it. You feel good about it. And you drive off the lot, and there is something about buying this external thing that makes you feel good internally until you get the first payment. And then that changes everything. All right, ladies, how many of you, when you feel bad, you go buy something, clothes? Come on, right? Because something inside you makes you feel better when you have an external source feeding into your internal life. Right? And it just does. It works that way. All right, okay, I want you to try this. I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to just say something nice to them. I want you to pay them a compliment. If you're not going to be nice, you can't do this. You're like, okay, good, no problem. That ain't a big deal. You just say something nice. Say something like, dude, you are the coolest person I hang out with. And then turn to the person next to you and go, like, you are not. Or you just turn and say, man, you know what? I like your hair. I like your smile. I like your attitude. And if you're sitting by yourself, then just say something nice to yourself. Just say something like, dude, I'm the best. I am the reason women live. Something like that. Just say something like that. Okay, now you guys have to help me here, okay? Because I want to prove a theory. Even though I made you do it, when that person sitting next to you paid you a compliment, didn't something inside kind of feel good? It did, right? It did. It felt good. It's like you know it was fake. Come on, because I made you do it. You know that somebody was making you do it, and you know that the person wasn't doing it out of their own initiative. They were just playing along, but there was something inside you that made you go, ah, yes, I am cool. And the reason you did that is because your soul was made to find that external peace that speaks to your internal being that says you are good. And that external peace is not a person. It is not a thing. It is God. And when Paul was walking through Athens, and he said, to the God of the unknown, and he said, let me tell you who the God that you're looking for is. It's the God of the universe. He created the heavens and He created the earth. And you will not satisfy yourself in this life until you find Him. Because that thing that's inside you that longs for something external to bring direction to the internal is God. God made you that way. He made you to search for Him. He made you to have that peace missing in your heart. This is, I got to feel that. He made you to come alive when you find and hear some truth. And we get bits and pieces of truth. We get bits and pieces of compliments. We get bits and pieces of pats on the back. But the real truth and the real compliments and the real love comes directly from God. You see, everybody looks outside of themselves to give meaning to what's inside of themselves. Because you were made that way. Because this is His purpose. And all of this was so that nations would seek Him, seek after Him, and that they would find their way towards Him, and then find Him, even though He's not far from each one of us. There's this psalm, and it's found in Psalm 63, verse 1. And it says this, David's the one who wrote it. He said, "Oh God, You are my God." He's saying that I discovered God, and that You're my God. And you don't know, but I earnestly searched for You, because my soul thirsts for You, and my whole body longs for You. You see, David, he discovered it before Paul discovered it, that my body was created to search for God. And that you and I are going to wonder, we're going to have all these questions, and we don't even know where these questions come from. Oh no, we do. They come from God. Because God has created us to wonder our way towards Him. And so in your heart, you've got unresolved questions. And we think that, well, should we even have these? And the answer is yes. But know where they come from. God is not offended by your questions. God is hoping that you would discover that your questions are to lead you towards Him, that you would find Him. It won't be found in money. It won't be found in relationships. It won't be found in stuff. You see, and then we have this question, and it goes, well, wait a second. But what happens in my life when my life's bad? If God created me to find Him, because there's this natural thing in my heart that misses Him, and if God created me to work my way toward Him by this external thing needing to fill my internal being, then what happens when things go bad? Whose fault is that? And here's what I believe. You see, I believe that God uses the circumstances in our life as opportunities to find Him. That's what I believe. We talked about this a little bit last week. But you see, I believe that what Paul was saying to the men of Athens was that you have all these circumstances in your life and you wonder why. That God doesn't cause the circumstances in your life, but God does use the circumstances in your life. He doesn't cause the cancer. He doesn't cause the divorces. He doesn't cause the world hunger, the outbreaks of AIDS. He doesn't cause the pain. He doesn't cause the sorrow. But He does talk to us when we go through them. He does use them. You see, this is the part where He says that you should feel your way towards Him. That you should look at your circumstances and say, okay, God, where are You? Because I need You right now. My life is going crazy. And God, I realize that this isn't Your doing, but man, if there is a time that You could show up, this would be a good one. You see, and what we think is that a loving God wouldn't allow us to go through the things that we go through. And I'm just here to tell you that I'm a loving parent, and I let my kids go through a lot of stuff. Because there'll be times where I'll be saying, hey, don't do that. And they'll look at me in the eyes and they go, oh, okay, yeah, Dad, I won't do that. I'll turn around and walk away. They'll do that. Right? And I'll say, hey, don't do that. That's going to screw up your life. Okay, no, why would I do that? That would screw up my life. Right? Come on. That's what I told my parents. That's what you told your parents. And then they look around and you're like, I'm going to do that. As soon as he's gone, I'm doing that. And so then you sit back and go, okay, go do it. And as soon as you fall down, as soon as you jump off the roof without a parachute, thinking that you can fly, Dad comes over and says, hey, I'm going to take I know I should take you to the hospital. Your leg is broke. I know that. But before we go get in the car, can I just take just a moment to say, that was stupid. Yeah, Dad, I got it. No. This is a teachable moment. This is me just saying, hey, don't do that no more. Okay, I got it. And don't you find that God does that? That He tells you. I mean, God gives us clear direction about what to do. And even tonight, some of us will walk out of this room and we will go do opposite of what God tells us to do. And when you do that, that is not God's fault. But all of us have walked out of here and done exactly what God told us not to do. And when we said, hey, God, where are You? I don't know about you, but for me, I found God saying, hey, I'm right here. And then there's that teachable moment. And usually the teachable moment is just, oh, God, I'm so sorry. And He says, yeah, it's all good. Oh, God, I need You in my life. He says, you got me. I'm in your life. I love you. I forgive you. Don't do that no more. Let's go to the hospital. Right? Isn't that how it works? Because God doesn't cause the pain. But any good father is going to use the circumstance to draw us into a right relationship and to walk right. 1 John 4:9 says, this is God. And this is how God showed His love amongst us. He sent His one and only Son into the world that we might live through Him. You see, and then Solomon discovered it. In 1 Kings, he writes these words. Solomon showed his love for the Lord by walking according to His ways. You see, it's okay to wonder about God, but walk according to His ways. Walk that direction. Don't walk the other direction. Don't walk away from God. Don't pretend like you're going to go get your answers found out about God. Get your answers found out from God. Don't walk away from Him to discover Him. Walk towards Him to discover Him. Because the final thought that I want to give you is this. I want to invite the worship team to come up as we give you this. The final thought that I want to give you is this. Is it doesn't matter. Sorry, it does matter. You won't discover God by walking away from Him. You discover God by walking towards Him. And what I mean by that is this. You can discover the truths about God when you walk away from Him because you can find out the penalties. And you'll go back to God's Word and you go, oh, there it is. But the truth is this. You don't design God. You only discover God. You don't design Him. You see, Paul was in the synagogue teaching people in the church about God because they had misconceptions about Him. You and I will never, ever, ever design God because He's not a statue. He's not a God with a little g. He is the God of the universe, of the heavens and of the earth. And we do not design Him, but He did design you. And He designed you that even tonight, though you might be far from Him, your body longs for Him. Your soul craves Him. Your mind throws out questions trying to discover Him. And there is nothing you can do about it. Do you know why? Because you did not design Him. He designed you. So here's my question to you. Are you walking away from Him? Or are you trying to discover Him by walking to Him? I heard this saying when I was a teenager. I use it all the time. To this day. The cool part about God is this. No matter how many steps you've taken away from Him, it's only one back to Him. Because He chases after each one of us. But you don't have to keep running. You can make your way back to Him tonight. You can get your questions answered. You can get your heart met. You can find the external piece that's missing in your life. Because it's God, and He wants to be a part of your internal being. So here's what we're doing tonight. The last Wednesday of each month, we do communion. We don't pass these things out to you. And the reason we don't do that is because we decided a while back that we want people to take communion on their own. And if you don't want to take communion, you don't have to take communion. But communion for us is the recognition that God came to this planet because He loved us. He died on the cross to take care of an issue that we have never been able to take care of. And even after His death, we're still not able to take care of that issue. That you and I constantly blow it, even after we make our commitments to Him. But communion is that place where you recognize who God is. Communion is that place where you recognize that Jesus did something for you that you were never able to do on your own. And that's to take care of your sin. And so we just invite people during this last song tonight. Sometimes we do it in the beginning of service. Tonight we're doing it at the end of service. That if you want to recognize who God is, whether you're far from Him, whether you've never recognized Him, or you guys are like this, that you just come forward, you take a piece of bread, you take a piece of grape juice, you go back to your seat, and you just kind of talk to God, and you wonder your way, and you feel your way towards Him, whatever your life circumstances are. And then, at the end of service, Sarah's going to come up, and she's going to close us out. And we're going to take that bread that represents His broken body, and we're going to take it together. And then she's going to pray for us a little bit more, and we're going to take that grape juice is what we use to symbolize His blood that covers our sins. That though we have many sins, that He covers them. Though we're red like scarlet, He makes us as white as snow, is what Isaiah says. And we're going to take that juice. And we believe that this physical act is also a spiritual act. Because God's not here on earth in a building. He's in the heavens. And He's listening for people who want to feel their way towards Him. And you can have a relationship with Jesus Christ tonight. You can have a new one. You can have a fresh one. You can have a continuation of a good one. But would you stand with us as we sing this last song? Would you feel your way towards God during this last song? And come and take some elements and take them back to your seat and feel your way towards God.
By tonight, before I pray, let's just bow our heads and be quiet before God, or talk to God if you need to, or let him speak to you if you need to. Jesus, tonight our hearts hunger for you. God, our hearts hunger in the knowledge that every need that we have, that you can fill. That every emptiness in our heart, that your love can fill. God, we hunger to walk with you, to know you, to not just know about you, but to truly know you. God, we hunger for your love. And we know that it is a choice tonight to accept that love or not. It's a choice to walk with you or not. And it's a choice to let you fill those needs that we have in our hearts or not to let them be filled. And tonight we remember that a God came down to earth and gave himself for us because of his amazing love. We know little of this love, God, because we can't comprehend it, but one day we will. But I pray that as tonight we take this communion, that we would begin to understand the love that you have for us. God, that we wouldn't forget about it, that we wouldn't let it pass us by in our lives, but that we would accept it and we would receive it because it's something that changes our lives. So God, tonight we remember that you came down and that your body was bruised and broken and battered beyond all recognition because of a love that is so strong. And tonight we take this bread in remembrance of that body. God, though we are deeply marred and sinful, you died for us. And by your blood we are purified. We are made clean and holy before you. It's nothing that we can do, God, but it was a sovereign act on your part because you loved us. And tonight I pray that we would accept that love, that we would accept that forgiveness, that whatever is going on in our lives, that we would know that by your blood, by this grace that you've given us, that we are forgiven and that we can come boldly before you. And it is in that remembrance that we drink this juice together.